Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Q&A. See, that's got like a...
Nice.
We did one Q&A in 2019 at the end of the year as part of live stream. This year we're doing the exact same thing. One Q&A as part of live stream at the end of the year. And this is part of a larger live stream. If you'd like to watch the whole live stream, it's going to be archived on Twitch. You can watch it there. We have chat, so we may... If chat has like quick little follow-up things related to what we're saying, It might spur further questions. But we're just going to jump basically straight into it.
Okay.
So the first question, I'm just going to pick this one off the list because I like this one. This is from Glass Joe Leet, 1337. Says, do you find live recording on Twitch harder than recording off stream? I'm curious to hear your responses.
I don't know. There's different things about both.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's a different experience.
Because if it's just us, like, I can be more comfortable. Like, I don't have to sit up here and...
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the whole experience is there's no visuals.
Yeah.
You know, there's no visuals. For me, it's a little different state of mind. Like it's I don't know. It's not quite the same experience. I really like doing the live stuff because it's like whatever happens, and there is an energy that you don't necessarily get.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it live, and you know that like there's no editing out a mistake. If you're doing it like Breath of the Wild's a bad example because Breath of the Wild we've had chat off. Although to some extent you get feedback between on the breaks and stuff. But like on anything else, like you're getting immediate feedback, and there's jokes and stuff that form that you wouldn't have necessarily come up with on your own that form out of doing something with the audience. So the audience is like, egging you on for certain things. So there's an element to it that is different and good. Is it harder? I mean, I think it's probably still objectively harder. That's the question. Is it harder? And it's probably objectively harder. But it's not. I just don't want it to be like, oh, it's harder and that's that. It's a slightly different category.
Yeah.
That's kind of the big takeaway. It's not exactly it's not really a one-to-one comparison, I think. And also there's setup that's like, I don't know, setting up for an on-demand thing. Like I have equipment that I've got to move. We have headsets. We're like doing things actually quite differently and making sure everything's like on the computer, like, is this running? Is this all set? And it's like there is all of that element to the streaming, but it's different in a way that I think is honestly easier. Mm-hmm. I'm less stressed about streaming. Part of it, I think, is that if something goes wrong, I know immediately.
Yeah.
If the stream goes down, I know immediately. Whereas if we do a recording and something screws up, I might not know. And that's bad. That's really bad. So there's pros and cons. There's definitely pros and cons. Anyway. If you don't chime in, I'll just pick one.
Just pick.
Okay. This is from Sapphire Becca, who said, as a new pet parent, you have any advice for a food schedule like Keppy's? My boy is a little stubborn about timed meals.
The way we got on that is when we had, both cats as kittens, and we would free feed. It would just be like, oh, their bowls are low, let's fill them up.
Yeah. For those who are not aware, it might be obvious from context, free feeding is just, there's food in the dish at all times.
Yeah.
There's just, and if you have well-behaved cats, that might be a real thing that you can do.
Yeah.
But most of them don't have the self-control.
Half a can in the morning, half a can at night, and then dry food whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever they wanted, they could go get some. And then the vet said that they were not far overweight. They were like 3-4 pounds. 2 maybe. She wanted them down a little bit. So then we started like measuring out their food, and then they had to have different food because of Sagan was having like kitty IBS.
Yeah.
So then that was important to know about what he was eating versus what Kepler was eating.
It was a gradual process.
Yeah, for us it was a gradual process.
But it started with free feeding, but then it was like, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah.
The big takeaway, though, that I think that Becca would probably benefit from is that, like, it's okay to, I mean, it might be difficult for your schedule depending on if you're at home or not, but, like, for us, being at home, we just continued to split the meals. We just kept doing it, to the point where, like, Kep gets fed 5 times in a day. And he was getting fed 6 times, and then we needed him to lose a little weight, so we just removed one of those things. So we basically kept splitting it. It's not that he's getting more food; he's getting the same amount of food.
Yeah.
But we just kept saying, okay, you need this, further apart.
It's because he was.
As Brandon says, you can find auto feeders that are on timers.
Yeah.
So if you're not at home, if you're not working from home, and you're out and about, and you have a job to do and it's not at your home, then an auto feeder is a great idea because that's what Karley uses.
That's what my sister uses with her cat.
So every animal is different, and it's hard because you can't communicate with them, and sometimes they're.
I recommend weighing your cats regularly to see what they're at, finding out what an ideal weight for them is with the vet. Yeah. Keeping track of that and knowing, like, about where you should be is helpful. But yeah, if you've got a cat where you feed him in the morning and then by the afternoon he's like, but you don't understand, I'm gonna die, then maybe take the food and just more frequent meals. Smaller, more frequent
meals. And that's like my best.
Yeah.
That's my best suggestion. Because it's a lot of it's in their head. It really is. Like, the food's in their stomach, but then their brain, they're like, I walked by bowl empty, bowl empty, bowl empty. And you're like, buddy, it's, bowl empty because you ate. But I ate 2 hours ago. I'm going to die. You're not going to die. Anyway. We got one from Rated V123, who says, did you ever see yourself doing another form of media, like Steven working as a filmmaker or producer, and Mal maybe working as a comic or manga artist?
I don't know. I think ceramics would be fun. I think, like, metal or sculpture would be fun. Okay, so, like, something... Yeah. Fairly different from what you're doing. I never took life drawing and never got into drawing the human form very well. Sure. That's not something I feel confident in doing. So... that's why I like the idea of sculpture or metals or ceramics. Yeah. I only ever did sculpture the one time. Yeah. With what do they call it? The putty stuff? Sculpey. Mm-hmm. And I not to toot my own horn, because I only did it once, but I felt like I did pretty good at it. And I was like, oh, this is really neat. But I had no desire to ever do it again. It was like, there's so many other things that my attention demanded. Yeah. So the example that Rated V wrote was a filmmaker producer, and I mean that's both the same and very different form of media, because obviously it's still video, it's just video in a different way, and like it's essentially what I was going to school for. Yeah. Because SCAD very much trains you classically in traditional narrative storytelling, and I mean some documentary work, and when I was going to school, like, what I do now was only very, very, like, it was very much in the early stages. Like, this career path of, like, what if you're just, like, an internet entertainer by yourself? Like, that was only just kind of starting to show up back when I was in school. So, it almost makes me wonder now if my college is starting to do classes on that sort of thing. Probably not. You might be able to pull the class list, like the courses. It does. I don't know. It makes me wonder. It certainly makes me wonder. Sparks has a question.
What has been your top song/artist of 2020? Not necessarily released this year. Well, that's good because I couldn't tell you a single one.
That came out this year?
I don't know if I listened. So I've listened to a ton of music in 2020.
Yeah.
I love music. But I don't think I listened to any. I'm trying to think if I listened to any new albums in 2020. And like, none of them ring a bell. Maybe.
I don't know.
Anyway, top artist. So I actually, Spotify does the little thing where it's like, hey, this is what you listen to. And it's still not accurate for me because I'm still in the process of putting together a years-long playlist. Mm-hmm. So like one of my top artists this year was Hootie and the Blowfish, because I went through their discography to add stuff because I got to H finally. And like, I really like Hootie and the Blowfish. They're from Charleston. They're from, 2 hours south of me, and there's some level of kinship there, and they've got a lot of really good music. But is it my top artist of 2020? No, I don't think so.
See, I'm not doing that. I'm finding artists I like and just adding them to a list, discovering new ones. And my favorite artist, according to the Spotify, was Emperor X.
That I believe.
Year. It just so happens that every time Steven comes into my studio to check on me, to see when dinner is, he happens to be playing. And you're like, you always listen to this. And I'm like, I don't. But then Spotify was like, this was your top one.
Emperor X I think I've said this exact same thing before, but like Emperor X is if John Darnielle and John K. Sampson did the fusion dance. That's what Emperor X's voice sounds like.
He's from
the lead singer of the Mountain Goats and the lead singer of the Weaker Thans. If they fused, that's Emperor X. I haven't really listened to that yet. I'm trying to. I don't know if I really have a true top song or artist of this year. To be perfectly honest, music helped me get through this year as it does every year of my life. But because I've been jumping around so much, there hasn't been a lot of stuff that I've been particularly stuck on.
Yeah.
I don't think. You know what song's coming to me right now? And it is one that I've listened to a lot this year. And you'll have to forgive me because I actually forget the artist and the song's name. It's there's no lyrics. Give me a moment and I'll get it for you.
The other artist that came up for me is The World is a Beautiful Place. That one came up also on my Spotify thing.
Okay, so I'm just going to put this out here because why not? Top song of the year for me. I don't know if this is necessarily true, but I have listened to this a lot, either purposefully or it's come up on shuffle in that playlist. David Shire's The Theme from The Conversation.
Oh, that song, yeah. That's come up on shuffle a lot.
It comes up a lot, and there's been times I've sought it out as well. It's really good. It's got this air of mystery. It reminds me a little bit of the theme from Deja Vu 1 and 2, which is an old point-and-click detective game. Anyway, Theme from The Conversation is a very odd thing to mention, but I decided that that's what I would mention. That said, there's still a lot of good music that I listened to this year. Here's one from Evie Curry. Says, hey Mal, have you ever considered doing a collaboration with Steven on a painting, like trying to get him to paint or provide the initial sketch while you finish it up?
Steven sometimes does sketch out a rough thumbnail for what he thinks I should do.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's like, just let me draw what I'm trying to talk about.
Yeah.
And sometimes I change it more, sometimes I add more detail or move stuff. But he does sometimes do a lot more than what people would think. You have not painted, though.
I have not painted. I've never painted. Yeah, I try to help MalMakes as much as possible, and a lot of the what I think I help the most at is the
composition
idea stage. Yeah, coming up with the idea and then specifically if I come up with an idea, working to help Mal figure out a composition. And that's like one of the advantages that I have as an art person, as an art student, is that I'm a filmmaker, but like a lot of these principles are all the same. Composing a shot for a movie is not that far removed from composing a shot for a painting. So thinking about all of those composition principles is the same stuff. So I can, we can work together to figure out like what game, what level, and then we can go a little step further and say, okay, what are you thinking for this? And Mal might come up with a composition that's completely different from what I come up with, and I'm like, no, look. So then I'm trying to sketch it. The difference is Mal is better at drawing than I am. So
all of the sketches you see in my painting videos, none of those are Steven's though. You do like a rough.
Oh yeah, in your sketchbook.
Yeah, you've never touched my sketchbook.
I can't.
No,
I can't do it that good.
You just roughly sometimes take a scrap piece of paper and you're like, no, put this tree here, and then
Fair.
I redraw it out nicer in the sketchbook.
Fair. A related question from Loves to Read says, "Hey Mal, what art medium or art style do you want to try the most for MalMakes or otherwise?" I know that we had talked about like things that would be like really wild to try someday, but
yeah,
like, is there something you could realistically see yourself doing for like a medium in 2021 for MalMakes? Something that would be slightly different.
For a medium, I'm not sure.
Style, yes.
Style, yes. But for medium, I'm not sure. Like, I want to play around with different medium, but I don't think it would be for my channel. It might just be for general art practice.
That's fair. Okay, well then style is one that you can definitely answer.
I would like to do more art history parodies, but I haven't picked anything in particular.
There's been, there's definitely been times where we have had, a lot of ideas. When Mal was trying to come up with what Goose Game became, there was a lot of interest in art history at that time, and the Goose Game, the piece that we were parroting was the first idea, and then we came up with a bunch of other ideas because we're like, oh, this art history thing is really good. I like the idea of doing this, but we kept coming back to that. We're like, Sunday in the Park. It just feels right. So we would look at something and we'd come back to this. We're like, Sunday in the Park feels really good for this. So we would go and then we'd keep coming back. But all of those other ideas that we looked at are still ideas, and they would still apply to a lot of different games and levels and stuff. So there's just a like a treasure trove of good stuff there, and I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited about it, to be honest. You want to come up? Come on up. You had Scoop and you're good now. Welcome, pal.
Hi, sweetheart.
Good boy. You gonna lay down right there?
Good boy.
Good cat.
Good cat.
Here's a good one from King Kuron. It says, what was your favorite memory you have of this year's Extra Life? I have mine just ready to go.
Imagine Party Babies?
Imagine Party Babies. And I don't mean to overshadow any of the other stuff that happened on Extra Life, because there's some extremely funny stuff. Very memorable stuff. Walking around in that broken hunting game. The haircutting game that crashed on its own because it was
sad.
just bad.
I was having fun.
Also, I found out there is another haircutting game on Wii. I was wrong. I thought there was only one and we were playing it. There is a different haircutting game. Next year. And of course, Scoop.
Yeah.
Goldstone. And, as Diddy Egg says, I laughed so hard during Skyward Sword. Yeah, and so many people got to enjoy that because, we had never played it before. But looking at all of them, my absolute favorite experience was Imagine Party Babies. I really, really loved getting a chance to stomp around with Dan. That was great. So what was your favorite?
That part was good. I'm trying to think of what else we played.
The other thing is that there's a remarkable amount.
Someone mentioned the final
things.
The Wheel of Fortune part. That was really funny. Wheel of Fortune was funny. Bakugan was funny.
Oh my
Smifanye,
god, Bakugan. Double stand.
where she was doing all the gesturing, like,
Double stand.
we did so good playing Bakugan.
Also, didn't they just like re-release that for Switch? I don't know if it's the same. It's probably not the same game, but it might be. They might have just re-released. Yeah. Next Top Model was probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back to that at some point. It just made me sick because of the camera.
Oh, yeah. That
Anyway.
was hard.
Related, this is one from Caleb Stuff, who says, of all the Extra Life streams you've done, or even consoles to potentially cover in the future, what console library have you enjoyed / think you would enjoy covering the most? I'm going to be honest with you. I think of all of the ones that we've done, Wii is actually the best.
Wii's been the most fun.
I really do. And that makes me happy because in a way, it feels like Extra Life gets better every year. Not only from the production side, because I feel like we've put a lot of emphasis on trying to make that better, but it gets better from the game's perspective. Like, it's just, there's so much stuff on Wii.
Wii is the perfect library for it. Because there's so many things that are so ridiculous.
And like, for instance, there's more games on PS2, but I actually think the Wii is a more fun library.
Yeah.
Because it's just all ridiculous stuff. You know, you can pick anything on the Wii and you're like, this is going to be a trip. You know, no matter what. PS2 almost feels in some ways like more serious. You know, like in a way that I think it misses out on some of the magic that the Wii has.
Yeah, it does.
A PS2 Extra Life would be great.
Yeah.
But
it was a lot of fun stuff.
But there's no desire. There's no desire to collect all the PS2 games. At some point you gotta stop. You gotta stop. The Bassoonist asks, it is known that both of you have dabbled in playing music in the present or past, but what one instrument that y'all want to learn but haven't yet? You already know mine. What's yours?
I don't know. I was looking today and I thought it would be cool to pick up cello or a harp. A harp would be cool.
You don't really pick up a cello. Cello kind of heavy.
Yeah, they sit on the ground. They lean up against you. Maybe I've always wanted to try playing the flute now that I'm older. I couldn't do it when I did the instrument test in 5th grade to see what instrument you'd play.
The instrument test?
If you were interested in starting band in 5th grade in my school district, you got to go down to the music room and they had one of each instrument, and then you had to try them all, and whatever one you could get the sound out of became the instrument you played as long as you did. I know very few people who switched from their 5th grade instrument to a different instrument.
So you're just
locked
in.
You were like assigned, you would pick a first and a second, because if everyone wanted to play trumpet, then they couldn't have a band of just trumpet players. We need flute players and percussion. So you had to try them all, and like for percussion, it was just a snare drum and you had to keep a rhythm. And they would play on the piano and try to confuse you, but if you could keep the rhythm, you could be percussion. And I knew in 5th grade that I wanted to play clarinet because I had heard they had a bunch of people come to our school and play instruments and teach us about them, and I loved the sound of the clarinet.
TMA says, it sounds like the sorting hat from Harry Potter. That's what I'm like, man, there's a lot going
kind of
on.
That way. And then, you know, they put out a list on the office door window, so it was like everyone that wanted to sign up, and it was like, oh, you know, so-and-so got to play trumpet, and so-and-so got French horn, and I was so excited I got clarinet because that was my first choice.
Well, I'm glad you got your first choice.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is banjo. I love the sound of a banjo. I do not own a banjo.
I would like to try playing a banjo.
I mean, you were learning guitar.
Yeah. It's just, it hurt my fingers so badly.
It goes away in time.
And
it goes away in time.
There's 2 parts, but I suppose that's the same way on banjo.
Like it's interesting because you know, people are very divided on the sound of a banjo. They really are. Like for some people, it's like it's not to be, you know, rude, but a lot of people don't even really think of it as music. Mm-hmm. It's just like it's just the background for deliverance, and like that's it, and that's all it is to them.
Bank says there's technically 2 parts to a clarinet. They're the same though.
But for me, it's completely different. Bluegrass has always been one of my favorite genres of music by a lot, and I think for me, like a lot of what I enjoyed about it when I was a kid, and have continued to enjoy even now, is tempo. When people get to playing the banjo so fast, it's incredible. It's such a unique sound, and it makes you want to dance. It's a great freaking
I love
instrument.
banjo covers of songs.
Yeah,
Like,
bluegrass covers.
What's the one band?
Iron Horse.
Yes, Iron Horse.
Yeah, Iron Horse
It's
does
great.
a bunch of covers. Yeah, I love bluegrass. I really, really love bluegrass music. So I can play guitar. I don't play regularly, which is something every year I hope I do more of. Fun fact: every Sunday, my phone yells at me. It swears at me specifically, but every Sunday I have a reminder set for my phone to swear at me to practice music, to pick up the guitar. And it's working a little bit. It's not a perfect system, but being bugged once a week to like, hey, pick up the guitar and play it a little bit is helpful. So I'm trying to do that a little bit to stay relatively somewhat in practice, and maybe one day I'll get a chance to actually like pick around on a banjo.
Maybe.
It'll be like old retired Stevens thing, and that's fine. I'm down with that.
On the front porch with a rocking chair? Or a joggling board? I want one.
Tiger64 Guy says, how does it feel for Disc Only to have gone from a joke from Extra Life to a full-fledged monthly podcast within a year? And what's it like doing a podcast with John, Tom, and Jerod? It going from a funny joke as part of Extra Life to a real thing, in many ways feels par for the course.
Yes.
Like, I want to say I'm surprised, but there's a big portion of me that I'm not surprised. It's like it's the level of ridiculous stupidity that I enjoy, and John really enjoys, and I think Tom and Jerod are very much on board for as well. So I'm not actually that surprised. It happened, to be perfectly honest. What's it like doing a podcast with them? It's great. It's great. Like, they are genuinely good-hearted, kind, funny people behind the scenes.
Yeah, they are.
They're just, and I could say so many great things about everyone in the TRG crew, but like those three especially, having had a chance to
TRG and auxiliary TRG.
TRG and friends. But those three especially, because I've had a chance to spend a little more time with them than some of the other people. They're just really good people. They just are. And they're so fun. And the podcast has been really fun for me because I get a chance to, meet specific comedic roles that I don't always necessarily get to play in other places. And it's fun to doing a podcast with three other funny people because you get to figure out what funny piece is missing in any particular episode and insert that funny piece in. I love that. Comedy is like one of my favorite things, so getting a chance to do that is just, it's a thrill. Something very different. Princess Muffin Art, favorite comfort food.
I'm always in the mood for something different. Like, right now, I want sushi so badly.
I mean, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I want, and like, you can get sushi.
We
but
could make it. We've made it before.
I want to sit in the thing and look at the guy making the sushi and be like, that guy's making the sushi, and then sit there and have a conversation and then put the little tip in the tip jar at the top and be like, you did great, and he'd be like, thank you. That's an experience. Mm-hmm. That's part of sushi.
But like comfort food though, like soup. I've also really wanted pickle soup and pierogies. Donuts. We haven't gone out to eat, no drive-thru, no restaurant since April.
2 donuts.
And I mean, even in April, we went through the drive-thru, and that was it.
6 donuts. A dozen. Listen, I really like donuts. Like, donuts are up there for comfort food for me. I'll also put in I'll also put in a special shout out to tacos. Tacos are comforting.
Yeah.
If we make them at home, nothing against like Taco Bell or anything, but like Taco Bell is one of those things that you only enjoy it for the first half. The second half, you're like, well, I'm having regrets. And then the third half, don't ask me to do the math on that, it is a regret. So doing them at home, you kind of skip out on some of that stuff. So
Yeah. We were going to get street tacos from Costco because I love those street tacos at Costco, but they didn't have them and I was mad.
Sorry.
Which is fine. They wouldn't fit in the fridge.
We got a question from Mr. Gameboy 18. It says, compared to when you were editing and handling everything by yourself, do you enjoy having help from Dan and Chaz? What do you miss the least from working by yourself? Do you miss doing anything? So, first off, my life has been completely transformed by Dan and Chaz. Dan more so than Chaz, because what Chaz does is Chaz adds value to things, if that makes sense. Like, I'm still running the stream, and I can run the stream, but like Chaz is adding additional
and Dan
cool
does
stuff.
that with like the Let's Plays with his comments and edits.
Yes, but Dan, in addition to doing that, is also straight up replacing a thing that I was doing.
Yes.
That's my big point.
Yes.
Is that
Dan
like
is taking some of that work from you.
Dan took a workload from me, and Chaz is doing that to a small extent. He's taken some of the stuff that I've done and he's doing it. But the big thing that Chaz is doing is adding a lot of like Emerald Lagasse, boom, spices. He just like boom, little spices. That's Chaz. Whereas Dan is like, hand me the lasagna, I will cut the lasagna. That is the dumbest analogy. I don't even think
Dan is doing all the prep.
It doesn't even count as an analogy.
Even though that would be at the beginning and this would be at the end.
I'm not even sure that counts. Anyway, do I miss doing anything by myself? So, I'll just answer them separately. From Chaz's perspective, I love what Chaz does because it keeps... I think one of the fun things about Twitch is keeping viewers on their toes. You know what's more fun than that? Keeping the streamer on his toes. I don't know what's coming. Like, at any given time, like, there's new alerts or, like, things change, and I think that's even more fun for the viewers. So I'm having fun because people are having fun. People are having fun because I don't even know what's going to happen, and that's really fantastic.
King Huron says, like, remember when Mummy was added midstream?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like, that's the sort of thing that literally... That sort of thing can't happen without outside help, without someone, what did I say earlier? Someone hovering above the house in a cloud. That can only happen if there's an outside person.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's great. As for Dan, there's an element I think that I miss for editing stuff, but it's like a trust exercise. It's like, I understand that Dan has the best interests of the channel, at heart, and he's already proven himself that he can do an amazing job. And the cool thing, and this is where Dan gets to add his Emerald Lagasse bam, is that he's adding stuff that, again, we would not be able to add.
Yes.
Because when the viewers are watching, Breath of the Wild or whatever, and Dan leaves a comment, that's something that we can't leave. It doesn't make any sense if we do that. So that's like an extra little thing that is, again, Emerald Lagasse spice.
I think the best part about it is kind of feeling more like a team.
I love that.
And I mean, you and I feel like a team, like when we
collaborate
on things. But
we've been a team forever, but it's different because we're married.
Yeah.
And that line is so blurred that it's not.
Yeah.
We can't even see the line anymore. It's like...
We forget we're different people.
Yeah, it's like if I'm helping you with a composition, it's like, oh, I think you should move this over here. Also, I'm going to go work on dinner. What you want for dinner? It's a blurred line, whereas with Dan and Chaz, it's a little more... It does feel like a team.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like that answer. That's a pretty good answer. Yeah, I gotta tell you, though, I'm really excited about moving forward because, like, having Dan and Chaz on the team has made a lot of things possible that just couldn't be possible. And I also know that they are going to be the key to making further things possible that are otherwise impossible.
We have plans.
We have so many plans and so many really cool ideas. And I just can't wait to see what happens in the future. And it will literally be because Dan and Chaz are around. It's stuff that we could not do if it was just us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Spark says next is Thomas has to write the scripts. It's the next step.
Risa 001
Okay.
says, maybe this has been answered before, but favorite donut flavor?
It's appropriate. We were talking about donuts. Vanilla cream.
Boston cream.
Very specifically, chocolate iced vanilla cream. That's vanilla icing inside with a chocolate iced topping.
Frosting.
Chocolate iced topping on the top.
And see, I like Boston cream, which is similar, except the filling is vanilla pudding, not the frosting.
Yeah. From the outside, you can't tell our donuts apart.
It makes it really hard when we order that because
we have to
they
be careful.
look the same.
I can eat a Boston cream, but it's not something I love.
Yeah.
It's not something I really love. And you can eat mine, but you don't really love them either. They're too sweet.
They're too sweet.
Give me that sugar. Rot all them babies. Now, in the past, I've called those donuts Bismarck, and some places do refer to them as Bismarcks. So my donut hasn't changed. Dunkin' Donuts occasionally refers to them as Bismarcks. It's a regional thing. And there's other regions that do not call those Bismarcks, as I've learned. So now I just call them chocolate iced vanilla cream, which is a long way of saying a Bismarck. Also, maples.
Maple frosting is so good.
Forged by Fantasy said, Mal, what tips would you have for a beginner painter?
I know it sounds dumb, and I know everyone says it, but practice. The other day, I was actually looking at some of my old college work, and it's crazy to me to see where I was then versus now, and what I would change looking back. And, I mean, I owe it to practice. I hadn't taken an art class since middle school when I started drawing in college. I was into photography and graphic design, and playing with text, and I was like, well, it might be fun, and I took a drawing class, and I was not prepared for it, and the entire class knew it. It was a very, very long semester, but I stuck through it, and there were tears. There was times I had to go into the hallway and calm myself down because I was so frustrated, but I got there, and things got better.
Did you have some rough critiques?
No, I had a really great professor that semester.
Oh, okay.
It was my Drawing 2 class where I had a difficult professor, and those were some rough critiques. But by then, I felt more in the middle of the pack of the class of art quality.
Oh, I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
I never felt necessary. I was not anywhere near, shape, or form like the best artist in the class doing the art classes.
Yeah.
But I never felt that I was specifically like, I had like a rough critique. I managed to take criticism pretty well, which you have to learn how to do that really quick in art
College
school.
art. Mm-hmm.
But man, there were definitely some people they got ripped a new one, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
Especially in like freshman year, sitting around and watching that happen. You're like, oh. And like everyone's like tearing, you're like, oh, okay.
It's a lot different from high school.
Yeah. You have to, you just gotta roll with punches.
Yeah.
It's cool though. Like you and one of the things you learn is like you learn how to criticize, which is important. That's one of the most important. I'm not even talking about the question anymore, but this is just passionate about me. Like you learn how to criticize because sometimes people they're not very good at that. They don't understand what's wrong with a thing, and you can't talk about what's wrong until you know what's wrong. So you have to be able to pinpoint the problems.
What you doing? Are you flipping?
Where are you going?
Are you just turning around?
Beep, beep.
Oh, Keppy.
Beep.
What are you
That was a long journey for whatever that was he was doing there. Gracious sakes. I Spy a Moose says, what are some interests you have independent of each other that you'd like to do more of in 2021? This might be a hard question. I'm really curious what you would say about this.
I don't know. It's hard.
I know exactly why it's hard.
Why is it hard?
You know exactly why it's hard.
Yeah,
don't you?
do.
It's because we live the same life. We have the same interests. And that's not 1,000% true, but man, that's really
Steph Muffin
close.
points out journaling. Yeah, I do that, but that's...
The amount of crossover that Mal and I have in, like, interests and the amount of time we spend together every day, like, it's a lot. So it's not that we're the same person, but we're real close.
That's why I say we sometimes forget, and then sometimes we're reminded.
Yeah. You know, we can say with relative certainty whenever we're, like, if someone asks a question for the other person, like, I can answer for Mal.
Yeah.
And if someone asks Mal, like, Mal can answer for me. Like, she knows. We know. For me, I'll tell you one of the things I would like to do in 2021, and I do believe that Mal probably will, like, agree, is that I really want to try and watch more films. I fell behind in the last 2 years to a pretty disgustingly piss-poor amount, and I really want to fix that. So that's why this Sunday we're watching a movie. And I hope every Sunday we watch a movie. I don't know if that'll happen, but that's what I'd love to do. I would love that. That would be a big thing that I would really enjoy. And Ice Moose says, I know Mal likes to read and Steven likes playing music. I just didn't know if there was anything different. That's probably some of the big stuff.
Yeah.
Is that, like, I know it's a big joke that Steven doesn't read, but it's kind of, I mean, it's true. I really don't read anything. Mal reads stuff all the time, so that'll probably continue to stay consistent.
Yeah.
And I would like to play more music, but I just haven't been playing a lot of music in general.
Our library has a digital library, so with my library card, I can check out digital books. The selection's kind of limited, I feel like, sometimes.
But you're still reading.
Yeah.
How many books have you read in 2020?
I don't keep track. Thomas says, hoopla!
More than me and less than Thomas.
Yes.
Got it. We got a question here from Loves to Read 27. It says, was Papa Georg always into painting / art, or did Mal inspire him? I can answer this. Growing up, I always knew that there was an art bug in my dad. I always knew it. I had seen my dad do drawings and stuff, and, like, every once in a while he would doodle something, and I always thought, like, as a kid, I was like, this is good. Like, this is above average for, I think, most people. And sometimes Mom would be going through old stuff, and she would find, like, stuff my dad had drawn, and, like, there was, like, really good stuff. And the problem is that Dad never followed through on any of that art stuff because he was just never really encouraged to do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna spend time bashing his parents over that during a Q&A, but it was a different time. My dad's from a very small town, very, very small town, and it was not a you need to follow your dreams type situation. It was like, we need this in the town, you should become this. That's literally how small the town was. That's his story. But I always knew that he had art in him. And it was, I don't even feel bad saying this, it was 100% Mal. And I know you don't want to take credit for that, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Getting a chance to see Mal do paintings and do art has brought out a side of my dad that I always knew was in there. I saw it as a kid.
Making art has done a lot for him.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the most inspiring thing.
Oh, yeah.
To me.
It's,
And I know that means a lot to you that he's doing that, and it's...
Yeah. My, for those who are not aware, my dad has Parkinson's. My dad's had a long life of, medical issues and continues to have a long life of medical issues, but the one that he's dealt with a lot in the past 10 plus years, 10 to 12 years, has been Parkinson's. And it's not fun. It's not a fun disease. And I love my dad, and I've seen him get worse over the last decade. And to see this, come out of nowhere, and him to be so inspired and want to pursue this and feel like he's, giving back and contributing to the world, it's beautiful. Like, I'll never be able to explain truly how happy it makes me feel. Like, you just don't know. And I know that for how happy and proud of him that I am, I know that he must feel like 100 times even, more than that. So, yeah, I love it. I love that he's painting. And I know that very recently we put up some of his artwork. His artwork sold in less than 3 hours. It was all gone. He still can't believe it. Like, he is just, and he's been painting more. Like, he already, like, paints very consistently, but he's just, like, ever since we, put his stuff up and people were so excited about getting it and having it and owning it, like, he has, like, almost a renewed fervor about the whole thing. And it's just great. It's just really great. It means a lot, and it's absolutely 100% been a therapy for him. And I'm just glad he's doing it. And thank you. Thank you.
It's nice to help him.
I know. It just means a lot, Mel. Why don't you pick the next one?
We'll continue with the art theme, and Wizard Scallion says, "Hey Mal, what advice do you have for a first-year high school art teacher? I have classroom management on lock by some miracle, and my admin thinks I'm doing amazing, but I feel my curriculum is uninspired." That's amazing that you have classroom management down, because that is the hardest thing, especially for a first-year teacher. And that's what I think most people struggle with.
Yeah.
Especially.
That was something that, it was very difficult for you, especially in first year.
Oh yeah, when I taught elementary.
To be.
Yeah.
Andrew says, yes it is.
As for curriculum, I think my school was really into the elements of art and design, the elements and principles. So I kind of started by going through them and then trying to do a lesson on each, but they all built together. So we started with a little bit of pencil drawing with gesture and whatever, and then we worked into shading, and then they drew portraits, and we talked about portions. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we started to introduce color, and then how color gets shaded, and then they did a chalk pastel and a painting. So just kind of like building on that, I think is really cool, especially with like an Art 1 or freshman art, to see their progress through the year. Yeah.
And that's really what you're trying to do in mm-hmm. first year high school art, because everything pre-high school, unless you're in a very specialized school, like, art is not focusing on what makes art.
Yeah.
You're making art, and middle schoolers can make beautiful stuff, but like, you have to understand the building blocks, and high school is where you do that. High school is like, you are at the point where, like, you understand line and shading and tinting and composition, all this stuff, where you can start figuring out what all those pieces are.
My students didn't. I don't know.
But you have to bring it in easy.
Yeah. I didn't know what my students' history was. Like, I don't actually know what our middle school required of them.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if they had taken art, if that was a requirement at all, what they learned in it. So I kind of just started from the basics. And I always really love to show them where they came from. So, like, when we did portraits with shading, I had them draw the portrait before I talked about how to draw an eyeball and how to shade it and how to shade a nose so you don't have just like this solid blocks of lines. Mm-hmm. And so I had them do that first, and then I was like, I'm not grading these, just give them to me. And then they had to learn all the pieces, and we did them together, and I would draw alongside them to show them how to do it. and then they would do their own face, whatever celebrity or family or whoever they were drawing, and then I would turn them both back to them with the grade on the final so they could see before they learned anything and then what it looked like after.
You did good. You did good.
There were parts of it I liked.
Shout out to all the teachers. 2020 was especially hard for you. And we know it. Teaching is it's always been an underappreciated career path. And I want you to know that we see you, and we know how important it is. And we, especially Mal, knows firsthand the struggles. So, I mean, keep doing your best. Lord knows 2021's got to be a better time for teachers probably than 2020 was. Let's see here. Fred Burger, that's a good name. Has Steven figured out that hot cocoa with milk is strictly superior to hot cocoa with water yet? So I never said it wasn't. I never said that it wasn't superior. I just said that it's so close it doesn't matter. Is it superior? Sure. Is it superior enough to warrant using the milk? I don't think so. I really don't. Am I in the extreme minority on this? Yes. I already have been beat to death on this fight. And I will be beat to death again. Jonathan VT says, we know your love for the Mother and the Donkey Kong Country series, but what is your favorite modern game or series?
Well, I just finished Red Dead.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that we've had this much longevity, and I'm to the point where I'm a little burnt out on it, but I'm still going to give it a shout out for having given me so many years.
Minecraft? That was my guess.
I was going to say Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, that too.
Specifically online. Getting a chance to just exist in this ridiculous world with friends. I mean, probably Grand Theft Auto Online has been fun. There's a million things I don't like about it. And I could just start a huge list. But playing with people you know, coming up with wacky things to do in-game, and things that don't break the in-game bank, because Lord knows Rockstar really wants you to buy them shark cards. Looking past those things, it's fun. It's just fun. I think really it comes down to I love spending time with my friends and playing games and stuff, but like GTA is the perfect mix of chaos and playground for that, for funny stuff to just naturally occur. And that's really what you want in a series like that.
We have great friends who are hilarious and come up with amazing things, and that sort of environment to be like, oh, let's get this bus up a mountain.
Yeah. I love that sort of stuff. I really do. And like, it's fun to do other games with everyone. It's fun to play Counter-Strike, but it's different. And the other thing I really like about GTA is that everyone, regardless of video game skill level, feels equal, you know? Because everyone's bringing something to the table. You know, Haley complains about her gaming skills a lot within GTA, which is weird because she's perfectly competent. But, like, a lot of times she takes the opportunity to, like, dress her character up. And, like, she'll show up and she's wearing, like, this ridiculous outfit. So that's what she's brought. And everyone's just, like, doing their own It's great.
Yeah.
I love that. PokeRaptor92 says, so Mal, I want to ask, what was your favorite gaming memory you had with Karley growing up? And favorite gaming memory with Steven from the beginning of your marriage to now?
With Karley, I would say it's any time we got to a new level in a game that we had. We only had like 6 Genesis games or something. And I remember, you know, playing games with Karley and being like, oh my gosh, we finally got past this level in Sonic or Aladdin or Home Alone 2. It's like, when we first beat Sonic 2, like, as kids, like...
blew your minds.
Yeah.
And also, you know, when you're a kid, beating a game is it's harder, and it feels like a bigger accomplishment. In adulthood, you're getting through games and you're like, cool, beat it, all right. Then you, and like as a kid, it's a monumental occasion. Yeah. Like it is like I'm gonna go outside and just scream.
The level before Sky Fortress in Sonic 2, the one where you ride on the top of Tails' plane.
Yeah.
Like that one was just like, oh my gosh, now what's happening?
Yeah. I felt like that the first time I ever got to World 3 in Donkey Kong Country. I was like, oh my god. And like...
There's a World 3?
And like also, I get almost every single beat in Earthbound. Because every town, I was like, oh, wow. It wasn't exactly that special because I knew about it from the player's guide, but it's still exciting. So what's your favorite memory with me in the last 10 years?
Getting to experience Tulip with you was great. Because that was a game I knew that is so different.
That's a word for it. Different.
I don't know. There's like little things that, like when we did the Let's Play for Donkey Kong Country and I got through the minecart level.
On the first try?
Like that was great.
And also, you can't talk about that Donkey Kong Country memory without mentioning all of the times during the Donkey Kong Country 3 Let's Play that you did Kitty's skip.
The skip across the water was so hard.
You did a lot of those in the first try, and it blew my mind. And that game's infuriating because if you miss it, you have to like start the level over, and then whew.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of good memories. We've had a lot of good gaming memories.
Yeah.
I'm glad that a lot of those are intertwined. It makes me happy. Speaking of memories. From Fluffles12, if there was one Let's Play solo or together that you'd like to revisit, what would it be?
If we, like, had no memory of it?
Sure, if that's part of it. What would you love to forget and do again? Tulip, but this time we'll know that the stupid frogs are the right frogs, so we don't waste all that time. Oh my god.
Yeah, that one.
For me, if I could, like, revisit something all over again, gosh. I wish what I could do is I wish I could experience Minecraft again for the first time. And obviously that wasn't my first experiences with that weren't on video, but that's kind of how I feel. Although to an extent, also I see people saying Pikmin 2. Y'all are deranged. You know, one of the That's fine. PS4 went into rest mode. That's fine. One of the things is that oh shoot, what was I talking about?
Minecraft. It wasn't recorded.
Oh yeah, one of the things I was going to say is that I would really love at some point maybe to revisit that, because so much stuff has been added at this point. It would feel fresh. So again, I make no promises. I make no promises on this Q&A. But it is something I've thought about before, and it is something that I will likely think about again. And finally, last question for tonight. This is from Back in Red, who asks, is Keppy a good boy?
Keppy, are you a good boy?
Are you a good boy?
You gonna lift him up?
Just a little bit. I would love him to not leave. Are you a good boy?
You a good boy?
Sweetheart.
Please put me back down on your lap.
There you go. You can lay down.
Nope.
Is he gonna leave because of that? No, don't leave because of that.
He's just gonna sit on the corner of the couch.
That's fine.
Who's a good boy?
That is it for the Q&A. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're like, hey, I'm really curious what comes after this or before this, whole stream is archived on Twitch. I will put the link to that Twitch highlight in the description so you can watch it there. Otherwise, thank you so much for enjoying the watching and enjoying the Q&A. Thank you for watching all of the content that we've put out on Steven Vlog this year. It has been a year, capital A, capital Y, trademark sign. But now we move into a new year.
Yep.
It almost feels not real. It really, like, I can't believe that we're there. We'll see you next year maybe for another Q&A.